Hey everybody! Welcome to Obscurities and Miniatures, and it's time for our weekly painting progress. Hopefully everybody out there had a nice weekend and got to celebrate Father's Day. Happy Father's Day, belatedly, to all you fathers out there. Unfortunately, I didn't get to spend it with my kids, but I did get to spend it with my dad. And get a little gaming in this weekend for once, which was a nice change pace. And both myself and Mr. Percival Sparkletrout were busy getting models painted. And I kind of have to because eventually my family's showing up at home and I'm sure I'm not going to get much done. But I got a bunch of things finished from Sparkletrout himself. So without further ado, why don't we show off what he's been up to. First off, we have a drone. I can't remember which exactly type of drone this is from the Hive Miniatures. And as you can see, it is very greater good like in its design. And they are totally drones. No actual living things whatsoever, which is kind of cool. So I know he's got a couple of those. We've got this fine fellow here. Let's see if I can get him in focus. He's too cool to get in focus. This stable boy was from Titan Forge Miniatures quite a whiles back, but it just came out so goofy and perfect. He's such a nice looking little peon. He's kind of on the short side, but I guess since he is a stable boy, I want to say there was a twin, but I think Sparkletrout was still working on that guy. A nice, interesting bystander to have for your tabletop adventures. Let's see what else. We've got another model from Print Minis. I know Sparkletrout really loves their stuff. They have that heavy industrial look to them. Guy's got a nice exosuit going on here. Painted in those industrial hazardous waste minor colors that Sparkletrout's Gene Stealer Colts and the like all have in common. So he does much better with yellows than me. I gotta ask him what kind of formula he's using because his turned out significantly better than mine, which you'll see later or you can see in the thumbnail. Alright, another one from him. We've got the front man from the Maker's Cult. A while back, they put out a whole release of basically modified Valor Core bodies, which are kind of like their Krieg-like proxies, but they did a whole Squid Game style one, so he had to have a front man with power fists. Why? Why not, right? I think he made the mask a little dark, but that's just my opinion. I think everything else looks great. Textures came out really nicely on the coat and with the metallics on his hands. And finally, my favorite of the bunch, even though I really like that stable boy from Titan Forge, another Maker's Cult figure. I think this one came out really nice. This is one of their Tempest Lords, kind of their take on the Thunder Warrior motif. I really like the gray that he's using. I'm going to have to ask him his formula for that, but these are their heavy infantry. They've had a couple of variations since Maker's Cult first started doing their thing, but this is the latest. And I know they have a couple of variant head types as well, but I think it came out really nice. You can see the chainmail underneath the heavy armor, skirt armor and stuff. Really nice looking stuff. Much better looking than mine. I got a few things painted this week myself. First off, we've got a nice little Stonehaven Dwarf Warforged. I think that's what they're supposed to be called. I thought that arm is very privateer in style, but it works for him. I wasn't sure. Having them all chrome and metal I thought was kind of dull, so we put a little bit of bronze in there just to mix things up. Just to give you guys an idea of scale here. Get some more models on the table in a little bit. In addition to those, so I was talking about my poor yellow. I tried doing a Maker's Cult figure as well. I'm not really happy with mine. I think it came out really splotchy and ugly, but part of that is because I was messing around with those stupid contrast paints, and I think they pool too much, and then I was trying to fix it, and I just did a poor job. Anyway, this guy is not one of the Tempest Lords. This is one of their, I want to say it was one of the Black Knights, but they had a squad of guys called Titan Killers. And so they all had either big, long, huge swords or big, clunky, steam-powered blades that, you know, very reminiscent of Berserk. And as you guys know, I'm a real big fan of Berserk. So big swords, I had to go with this. This is a heavy infantry version. Sparkletrout dared me to try painting one in Imperial Fist colors, so I obliged for some reason. But they do have basic marine-sized versions as well. So the Titan Killers have these big skulls on their shoulders. I think it came out okay. I think from a distance it's going to look fine. Obviously, I've got it super zoomed in. I really don't know much about how to paint Imperial Fists. If you guys have a go-to yellow for painting them, by all means, share it down below. And if you got pictures, even better. I'd love to see them. Just to give you guys an idea of how big he is. He's right in scale with the other Maker's Cult guy. With our hive drone right there. What else did I paint? Oh, so I know they've got a Kickstarter going right now, and I'm going to put a link to that as well as to their homepage. But I did some of the Elves of Iniath from Durgan Paintforge. This one is the Chieftain Chieftais. And so I really wanted to do her up like Biken from Guilty Gear. I had to think about that for a sec, but it just didn't look right. It didn't look good, so I just kind of rolled with it. Interesting pose. And I feel like I should have put her on a little bit bigger base, but it is what it is at this point. She's super zoomed in, too. I was working on the other ones I got at the same time. I also got one of the Elven Iniath warriors. Is he surveying the landscape? Oh, shoot. I was going to go back over and touch up the fur on his gauntlets, and I forgot to. Oh, well. So he's got this really tall base that he's perched on top of. It's kind of neat. We'll see more of them in a sec. And I got my Zilliarch all done from Conquest. And I tried screwing around with putting some rusty stuff on there, but it didn't really turn out all right. And then I tried trying to paint the bone in his armor there, and you can't really tell. But I like this figure. I was waiting to get this guy done so I could finally put the finishing touches on my Legionnaire video. I've had a box of the old Dominion Legionnaires sitting around here for like nearly a month unfinished. So finally I can get them done. Maybe this summer I'll actually have some of those guys painted too. But I dig him. I'm looking forward to getting the... is it the Velite? They have another guy that they did originally in resin as a limited edition, and they got him coming out in plastic, so I got to get those too. And as promised, have to have some Kingdom Death stuff. Told you guys I'd do it, so I did. We did a real quick paint job on the Lantern armor. Now, the Lantern armor, in theory, does not look the same as what came out in the model. If you look at the cards, it's a little bit different than the actual final product, but that's not that big a deal. And as always, with Kingdom Death models, none of the ladies are going to bother wearing pants, whereas the guys do. Don't understand that. Had to go with one of the big great blades. Are these official colors? Probably not. Does it matter? Not really. I figure it should suffice if and when I ever get to the point that I actually get to build Lantern armor in the game. Putting me now at only needing to finish the unarmored sprue, which more than likely I'm just going to mix and match with some of the other stuff, and the Phoenix armor. And then I have completely painted everything that came in the original game box. I have finished and fulfilled my duties. So I'll probably start the Phoenix armor soon. I've got a couple of Echoes of Death models I'm still trying to finish up. But we'll see. Oh, how could I forget? Duh. So I was goofing around earlier this week, and I got this guy horribly painted from Dragon Trapper's Lodge. I cannot remember what he's actually called. I thought he came out nice. Now that is the remains of another harpoon that was stuck in him that I snapped, unfortunately. You can see the fish hook stuck in his fin there. I wanted to keep him nice and glossy. I didn't do the greatest job. Well, I didn't even bother trying to fill the gaps there or the drainage hole from hollowing him out. But overall, you can see it's a mess down there. How often do people spend their time looking at the bottoms of the models, though? For all intent and purpose, he came out pretty decent. There's a couple spots where I slopped some paint on, but that's easily fixed. And I made sure to get the little gray mark that they usually have on their backs and the white spots by their eyes. I was proud of that. And then finally, as you can see in the thumbnail, I don't think I've ever actually finished painting one of my models from Lord of the Print. And I've got and built a bunch over time here, but I don't think I ever finished any, sadly. So here is one of my first ones. Maybe I have, and I just can't remember. This is one of their Karchar Tyrants. Now, before I sprayed everything down, I thought that the red that I used was a lot better. This came out very pinkish. And I originally had like a little white glint there, but I think it looked really silly. It looked like I gave him like pupils in his eyes. And again, much like with the Orca monster from Dragon Trapper's Lodge, I wanted to make sure that we had it a little bit glossy still. I didn't really... Just gave it a very light spray with the matte varnish. And I did an awful job trying to fill the gaps on those sections. Actually, some sections I did decent, and then some sections it looks like there were gaps that got filled, but that's just his skin, especially around the head. I didn't actually do that. Well, that part I did, but there's others you didn't. Anyway, I'm just happy I got it done. So I fulfilled my goal of trying to get at least one big model finished before everybody came back home, and I should, if all goes according to Keikaku, have another one or two of those big models done before everybody shows back up, or at least let me say this, before school gets back in session. So I got a couple weeks, but overall I gotta say, nice productive haul from both of us, myself and my brother, here at Obscurities and Miniatures, and hopefully everybody out there, you guys are being nice and productive as well. And if you want to follow in my footsteps and hopefully do a better job than me or pick up any of these models, we'll have the links all down below. As always, every week we always put them there because I know I want to enable everybody else to have as much fun as I am spending time printing and painting. And while we're at it, we'll have our link for our Patreon down there as well. It's the one and only time I like to tout it and hawk it, but your support is always appreciated. So with that said, this has been High Lord Tamberlane with Obscurities and Miniatures, saying thanks for watching, and we will see you back here soon. Bye-bye!